Well, that got us started again. The chairman completely not answering a question. It is timely, and it's frankly not up to his discretion, but again, we've not really cared about that from the start to begin with. So my question is just schedule the hearing, but undoubtedly that's not what they want out there. So let's start over, now that the chairman is recognized and we've got that point. You know, there have been famous moments in impeachment. There have been famous moments in impeachment as we've gone forward. There are famous lines from Nixon like, what did the president know and when did he know it? From the Clinton impeachment, there was, I did not have sex with that woman. What would be known about this one is probably, where's the impeachable offense? Why are we here? I tell you, this may be, though, become known as the focus group impeachment. Because we don't have a crime, we don't have anything we can actually pin, and nobody understands really what the majority is trying to do, except that interfere and basically make sure that they believe the president can't win next year if he's impeached. The focus group impeachment takes words and then takes them to people and say, how can we explain this better? Because we don't have the facts to match it. A focus group impeachment says, you know, we really aren't working with good facts, but we need a good PR move. That's why we're here today. This is all about, as I said last week, a clock and a calendar. And it really became evident to me that this was true because last Wednesday, after we had a long day of hearing here, the next morning, before anything else could get started, the Speaker of the House walked up to the podium and said, go write articles of impeachment. She just quit. She just stopped. Go write articles of impeachment. I appreciate that the majority practiced for 2 days this weekend on this hearing. I appreciate that the fact that you got to try and get it right to try and convince the American people of your problem, but your speaker's already undercut you. She took the thrill out of the room. You're writing articles of impeachment. Why couldn't we just save that time today? And if you're going to write the articles of impeachment, go ahead and write them. Well, there's probably a reason for that. Because the chairman laid out some amazing claims, none of which I think after this hearing today, the American people can honestly look at and see that there is overwhelming evidence, there is a proper reason he abused this power, because as the Speaker, another statement she said, that to do impeachment you have to be so compelling and overwhelming and bipartisan.
Hey everyone, welcome back. If you've been trying to wrap your head around what really happened in the recent impeachment hearings, you're not alone. The noise, the spin, the headlines, it's all overwhelming. But today, I'm cutting through it with key takeaways from the actual transcript. No fluff, no bias, just the facts and the power plays that unfolded. Let's get into it. Let's start with how it all kicked off. The Speaker immediately called out the chairman for dodging questions. Not just once, repeatedly. The message? This entire process isn't about finding truth, it's about controlling the narrative. Right off the bat, it's clear. This is political strategy dressed up as due process. And then came the term that stuck with me. Focus group impeachment. Think about that. Not a case built on facts or law, but on what tested well in a political focus group when you don't have real evidence.
So why not? Why are we here? Well, I think we can do this. Let's look at the three things that typically are associated with making your case or a crime. Let's do it against what the majority has said. I think they have motive, they have means, and they have opportunity. What's their motive? It's November 2020. It's been said over and over and over again. The chairman said it again this morning. It's been said all along that we have to do this because if we don't impeach him, he'll win again next year. The reason is shown as clearly as last week on the jobs report in the economy. And as I had a man come up to me in the grocery store this weekend, he said, keep doing what you're doing. He said, I've never seen an economy this good. He said, people are working, people are being taken care of, and this is just a fatal distraction on a president that they don't like. Motive is easy. November 2016, they lost. January 2017, just a few minutes in, the Washington Post confirmed what every Democrat had been talking about. Now's the time for impeachment. We see tweet after tweet saying, now let's get at it. It's amazing that they start with impeachment and then they spent 2 years trying to figure out what do we impeach him on? Well, the means became what we see now. The means is to always talk about impeachment, to always say this president's doing something wrong, to say he is illegitimate, as the chairman has said before, that he's not even a legitimate president. Is to constantly tear down at a president who is working on behalf of the American people. The sham impeachment, when we go through this, I think the chairman said something that was interesting. He said that a president should not be above the law and should be held accountable for the oath of their office. I think Congress ought to be held accountable for their oath of office as well, and not to do what we're doing right now and that is run a process that doesn't fit fairness or decorum, to run a process and a fact pattern that you're having to force against a president you don't like. But what was the opportunity? The opportunity came last November when they got the majority and they began their impeachment run. They began in the process, even as they're selecting the chairman said that I would be the best person for impeachment. This is November of last year. Before we had any hearings, before we had even were sworn in to this Congress. For anyone, the media or watching on TV or watching in this room, for anyone to think that this was not a baked deal is not being honest with themselves. You see, presumption has now become the standard instead of proof. It should cause anyone to begin to question, because the entire case is built on a presumption, or as we found out last week from 3 scholars, that inference is okay. If you just infer that that's what they mean, then we'll take that. That was an interesting line. You know, it was interesting. They made their whole case built on Gordon Sondland. You're going to see that a lot today. He testified that he presumed that the aid was connected to an investigation, but he said nobody ever told him that. When Sondland even asked the president directly, he said, "What do you want?" The president said, "I want nothing. I want Zelensky to do what he ran on." Ukraine did nothing and got the aid anyway.
Gentleman from Wyoming, Representative Hageman.
Gentlewoman's recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I take my duties as Wyoming's lone congressional representative very seriously, and my obligation to be honest and trustworthy is the foundation of my ability to carry them out. This privileged resolution isn't about politics. It is about the seriousness of being honest and forthright as a member of Congress and upholding the oath of office that we all take upon being sworn in. It is true that the gentleman from California wouldn't be the first member of Congress to exaggerate or stretch the truth, but willfully lying about serious issues our country has faced is something entirely different, and claiming that a sitting president has committed what amounts to treason is beyond simple hyperbole.
A hush falls over the Congress, a silence so profound you could hear a pin drop. The air is thick with anticipation as Representative Hageman prepares to speak. The weight of her words hangs heavy, promising a revelation that could alter the course of political discourse. Wyoming's Representative Hageman.
Members' lies led to the wasting of millions of taxpayer dollars for unnecessary investigations and the deflection of our attention from the most pressing issues at hand to focus on a made-up crisis. This member's actions were designed to delegitimize the 2016 election and to hamstring the Trump administration. For all the talk about not accepting the election results in 2020, perhaps Democrats and the media, which are mostly one and the same, might want to look at their actions in 2016. To make matters worse, this representative perpetuated these lies while he was chair of the House Intel Committee and consistently implied, if not outright stated, that he had inside information. In that capacity, he lied about how the FBI and DOJ obtained and renewed a FISA warrant. The FBI and DOJ officials did not omit material information from the FISA warrant. How the DOJ used the Steele dossier, what was collected via the FISA warrant, the FBI's vetting process for the Steele dossier, that he had an alleged smoking gun showing that President Trump colluded with Russia. And if each of these claims has proven to be false. But the lies have continued. In fact, they have become compulsive, and they continue right through to this very day. The lies weaken this body, and if left unchecked, threaten the rule of law, our election integrity, and the civil rights of his targets. The words and actions of this member were dangerous and untrue, knowingly untrue. There must be a serious consequence for that. Being censored is the least of what he should be subjected to. And I support this resolution.
Opponents. And the one rep said it outright, these aren't the actions of a public servant, they're the actions of a partisan operative. If you're finding this breakdown helpful, hit that subscribe button right now. I post deep dives like this regularly, and trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Let's break down the impeachment framework. The transcript outlines it clearly using 3 classic components: motive, means, and opportunity. Motive, they feared Trump would win again. Means, create a never-ending narrative of illegitimacy. Opportunity, they gained the House majority and launched the impeachment run. It's all laid out, and instead of proof, they relied on presumption. One key witness, Gordon Sondland, testified that he presumed there was a quid pro quo, but even he admitted when asked directly, Trump said, I want nothing. That's not evidence. That's hearsay on steroids. Representative Harriet Hageman came in strong. She accused Schiff of deliberately misleading the public, misrepresenting FISA warrants, and pushing a false narrative that consumed years of taxpayer money and media oxygen. Her message was simple. This wasn't a mistake. It was a pattern of deceit. And censure? That's not harsh. It's the bare minimum. Her words were powerful. You don't get to lie to the nation and walk away. The final point in the transcript rings loud. If we want to restore faith in government, we must hold our own accountable. Not because it's political, but because it's principled. So there you have it. 10 hard-hitting points pulled straight from the source. No spin, no media filter, just the raw truth from inside the chamber. Whether you support or oppose impeachment, one thing is clear. This isn't just about one man. It's about how we hold power to account and how the truth is handled in our democracy. If you got value out of this, hit that like button. And if you're new here, tap subscribe and turn on notifications. We've got more in-depth analysis coming your way soon. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay sharp, stay informed, and don't just follow the headlines. Read between the lines.